spring the Net Language Teacher Institute Student Virtual Conference. Today we'll be showcasing our students' work. And so they'll be the presenters in the breakout sessions. Today we have special guests from Shema Storytelling. And so they are our guest presenters. And then, so to open up things, Sarah Adekai will open up with a prayer, and then we'll have a welcome address. And then we will have a representative from the New Mexico Public Education Department, Indian for Education Division, say a few words, and then we will then go into our breakout sessions. So, Sarah.
Hakushila Yaha Kon Shadano Anigi Hadoshi Sotezenigi Abin Sogit Ahdo Inha Behades Ado Hapini Eda Kon Natalke Aida Nahadenel Ko Ebenache Kodo E so the Zenigi Ishletoli Kodohojo Doli Got Shamana Hassan Ado Yadis in Dajahana Enhitra the in the Neda Nothini con large in Naso should say hasty other sanatly or stan Alchinaconde Nakishin na yet Nezrane other in that Hobachine other in the dance anid edot ishki Nadalka ishki Nadal suit a don what you this are on the in the end and hidoji a cadun not conscious hash a1 Din hitishne konde aduin da konde yin nihin nago da holon kon nihin nas I that a at den din din that a aduin that tol khanash chin tobiyaj tradin hayos khas biyjet na dot is biyjet na hot su chahal hil ado in the da konde also a ya ki honel an konde din go kondiin the yin got nikin nahin nelly ha apich isteos is not jinsa ayoska yisata ado in the shada apich isteo kon so dot liji yisata apich istet de chili yisata go osli hut au ina penalty be hotza yahatet Adun da naho conspicuous con the bensa Bashini yeseta sa ahnaga ahojon betan team conde Yaniki ya naha ahosen con hasata di ko ebetrai kedahanit ingo con dahanitlo Dishje conde 2021 the Net Language Teacher Institute Virtual Conference Kobandika Kwa ikinane kati kon ajado akhanego hilkhoni tlondande kon hine taditsa o kon patient case bigije kon ya hilkhoni tlon alkeda nitle keda hedi ne sani has tuts cage can't and lingo kon akinani ka akhane alke nana nelgi kwa age ya beni kata beni ka do chako ya kon jana go khatat ego ben ya asani kliniki tishche tsda has done go ya egi konde be ekilhoni tlongo konde bigije ni je bigije adon ken se case bigije hanne adon da ni tsda da so be hotzan dat kon bigije ya da honi tlongo kon ella also ella sin his case go tantino sendole ado in da konde ella koege niken sikis yenel ango atan hino sendole la ango konde ishin khane dat doing the benache it kinslet en kitash chako ni yije dazli dole
Sorry, you're muted. Unmute yourself, sorry.
Was I muted all this time? Okay. Ako kot ego ya kon hane hinanit aningi konde ni kinadash jako ya komplna de ni kato listo be nanit edo lis nasigo at kisen sago enle ni kon ni to ni hin ni tisk ni ya nazlaje ni ina zalaje konana zado lis ebe nanit edo lis ne neche njone go hane Hanne ja tahalne igitiste peltahanno dolis peltahanno songo kon etesnigo konde tsada tsinhiskisko dan hitoslisto inda konbekit itradolis be ja kon chenani tligo kot au ja be enanit edolis kon altro kode nije hojodolis be konde de kontes nikin neli also de kode bitside da de yende kode niche when idolis nike da chetlidolis aduin de da ha apitste shada apitste na hospitste ya asnide nesnide ni kede don nitsi hojon il tatolis hojonasli
Vincent, do you want to open us up with?
Ahihat, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. So there's an hape in lagi. Ado indeta. Achi ya Lashana So. We have a guest today, Lashana So. Thank you for attending our spring DLTI student virtual conference. Lashana is from the New Mexico Public Education Department, Indian Education Division. Dan goshi e nahania doshi at isago sa tla yin hitchen hatodze.
Oh, yeah. Yat e bene she e lashana so yin shia. Twidik ojan shlom ma idesh gijni bashichin. A she hit a she do chish e dashanella a kut a e dene san nishle. I am the Assistant Secretary of Indian Education, and it is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all at this year's Spring Dene Language Teacher Institute Symposium. Under the leadership of Michelle Lujan Grisham, we have seen a renewed effort to respect tribal sovereignty while honoring native languages and cultural traditions. Since 2003, over 18 years ago, the Indian Education Act has been established to serve as an imperative legal requirement that ensures we establish or equitably serve and meet the needs of our Native American students. It is through this source of funding that we can fund Native language programs. As Dene people, we know the importance of maintaining our language. It is tied to our emergent stories, our ceremonies, our prayers, and most importantly, how we identify as the five-fingered beings. As we teach our children our sacred language, they too learn the value of our culture and heritage. For parents, keeping our first language alive at home teaches children to take pride in their culture and roots. In addition, linguistic proficiency serves cultural and linguistic connections to Native communities, and being fluent in our native languages helps us grow into and adjust to new cultures. The DLTI is a program funded through the Indian Education Act and was established to support Dene speakers to become language immersion teachers. And as educators, we recognize the importance of providing the support to each of you to ensure that you are well prepared to deal with bilingual students and to recognize and value the importance of maintaining our cultural and language heritage. As the Assistant Secretary, I enter this role to uplift the voices of our tribal communities and will work to cultivate stronger partnerships with educational institutions and will provide the support to our educators who are in much need and very deserve this support. And with that, I extend my gratitude to each of you for the important role you play in ensuring our Dene children have an opportunity to learn our beautiful language, to carry on our traditions as Dene people. Ikihat.
Ahihat, Lashana. Thank you for sharing your words with us this morning. Ado, what's next on the schedule?
I think it was the overview of the DLTI. Vince,
Okay.
were you going to share
Okay, so next we have Vince that will start us off with an overview of the Dene Language Teacher Institute cohort program.
Hakoshi, yat shelt kahas sinlo shike shitene ado shithez neto ado kwagi shishunitloniki din nilchet apen sekesano ini jegi bigeje aja tan zade don tan zade ente kwal shishunitloniki yat to aron hitayan to kwal shishunloniki ko yat she yat khatnesa ninchlen na kreden nebashchin kinti chini dashi che ado tude chini dashi nala ado not nel jean holgede gisin nasha it on zade holgeda ado zlat khel kid ol walwi ga ha kon zade kasht akoyat to ado qad kwa belti dasinirge kasht do shalt chindo holdo ado khiha di bayat do thi banya do thi Good morning. I introduce myself in the proper way of the introduction as I was told how to do that. I shared my relations. Good morning to everyone. So I'm the lead PI for this strategic Design for Language Teacher Preparation Educator Grant. I think that's correct. That was a long title, but we applied to this RFA last year, roughly around the time before COVID-19 really impacted our communities. And we got word that we were awarded the grant just in time, when things were starting to shut down and we were kind of caught off guard. And we had all these ideas in the works to have, for example, a summer immersion camp, while we also simultaneously offer courses, and then also we put together some ideas for providing 18 hours of coursework through our respective programs here. So myself. My name is Vincent Warito. I'm in the Department of Language Literacy, Sociocultural Studies. I'm an associate professor here. My background is in bilingual education. I've done a lot of work with Indian education. And so some of the courses that we offered from our department, as well as Native American Studies, Dr. Lee and her department there, and then Dr. Chi from the linguistics department, the Navajo language program. We decided to put our efforts together because there's a huge need, as you all are aware, for language teachers. My experience has been that over the past 5 years, I've worked with schools, continuing to support schools. A lot of teachers are retiring, and we found that there's going to be a huge need for teachers. So what we wanted to do was to offer a way to identify folks who are out in communities, either who are already serving as a language teacher or who are interested in the language teaching, or maybe even just someone in the community who might have an interest. And so we, as you see there, as it says there, it's really to address our unique needs as the neni kliniki. Son his zad halchindo to yalt hit asli quit on his was just ko halita lahat ando nil. No ko even that we put this effort together. And so what we were looking for were individuals who will be presenting, some of these individuals who've become part of this cohort, who are speakers. And we defined that broadly. We didn't have like a measurement, we didn't have a proficiency test or anything. We just, because we all believe that we're still learning. Even myself, I'm still learning. We're looking for people who can commit to 18 hours of college course level work. Folks who have some experience working with schools, communities, even university programs. And we said that we wanted to also identify people who are already like in a degree program, but it wasn't something we're really pushing either. Because our hope is that we want our students, our cohort students, to eventually consider moving into a degree program, either any one of our respective, either tribal universities, colleges, or here at UNM. And I'm throwing a pitch in there for UNM. So we also wanted folks, because of the pandemic, people who would be able to access, last year at least, technology, because it was a huge challenge, as you know, since we couldn't meet in person, but also just having the ability to take courses online requires that technology. I'm going to give the time over to Dr. Lee and Dr. Chi. Maybe they can add some thoughts too as I've started talking about this cohort.
Well, I'll just introduce myself. Sorry, my dog's barking. Tiffany Lee Nisha de Bethlehem Nishna, Nathlana Bashish Chin, Sendrikina Dasha Chedo, Nathlana Dashanala, Twansilla de Nasha, Bay Del Dasanelli Nashnish, DLTI de Net do Lakota, Astana Nishla. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm Tiffany Lee. I'm Black Sheep from Crystal, New Mexico, and Oglala Lakota from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. The professor and chair of Native American Studies. A lot of my background is in, like Vince, Indigenous education, but particularly looking at language revitalization and language perspectives from youth and young adults. So I'm really excited to be able to join the team here and contribute to this this great effort. Yeah.
Ado, yat she Melvithechi and Ishia. Ado Tsana Betli Nishrido, Kiltachi ni Bashichin. Hawantlan Dashiche do, she had Dashanale. Back at Gaida in Nasha, Ada Oid Ayasi in the Aqua Beltil Dasanel Kehesh. Ado Shelto, University of New Mexico, Aja Shaltra, Department of Linguistics. Waliego, Aja Nanshin, Ado Natural Language Program, Waliegi, Aja Stop Bananshin do because Aja Bikidinch eat a cut out Nanish. Ado in the Dadi Tiffany do Vincent Dida Bish Ita Ishla Qua Vincent Benahat Aigi Benachet Yansi case go qua. Did a skita signal a call the Jo Vincent Yaholne le Nikea Bakago a con a Heda the Nebezad Bishendestation Zinigi do Nikizad Shazad the nest heel Zinigi Quake ba hotel. Alt so bekado was do kwaba be hotel adoli a kobe nacha inlay naste the nebezad de tinigi ndahotod lel da di nigo ita ilia ako ishi ya kwa abenache ako nihiliad ekos dot shi di altrolche adelche indelian ko kwa anai de kitsa ado shi kodo ya nat binda idol kidigi ya nat sad niche natot al akut edol lel hakoshi. Vincent, do you want us to talk about some of the slides that you have?
Abiga.
Okay, so we chose 18 credit hours. We chose 6 classes, 2 classes from Native American Studies, Ado Indada, 2 more from Language Literacy and Sociocultural Studies, and then 2 more from Navajo, from the Navajo Language Program. That's 6 classes, and by completing those 6 classes, we are supporting students who join the Diné Language Teacher Institute. We support them with 18 credit hours in completing those 18 credit hours. So I think this year we are finishing up our first year of cohort, and then due to the global pandemic, we weren't able to fill all the spots last fall. So we took those students who registered in the fall, ado in the spring, this semester register nada yidla. So we took them. So this first cohort isn't exactly going to finish all at the same time. So there's a little bit of a room there in between the two groups. However, they're able to they should be able to complete these 18 credit hours. So you'll notice if you're taking a look at this slide right here, you'll notice that there are several classes listed under the Language Literacy and Socioculture Studies. So those classes are kind of spread across one whole year, fall, spring, and summer. And these are, so students get to choose these classes. And I think one of them is kind of what we call a core class that they will need to take that class for sure. And then going to the top under Native American Studies, I think the Native 462 is a core course. So we have all our students take that class. Auto Native NATV 2315. So that one's kind of like the extra. If our students are very much attracted to Native American Studies, they can double up on that. And the same thing with LLSS. If students are attracted to those classes, they can take more classes in that area. And then from the Navajo Language Program, we're offering 2 classes, Navajo 315 Advanced Navajo and Navajo 401 Navajo Linguistics. So the Navajo Linguistics is the core course here, so all students are required to take that one. And the Navajo 315 then is optional for our students.
Just to add real quick, Dr. Chi, in Native American Studies, we also added NATV 461, which is community-based learning in Indigenous contexts, which would be a kind of an optional extra course also.
Yeah, so as we're going through this first year, we're finding that there's other things that we can add. So there was another thing that I think we just added that last week, right? So yeah, so students are able to take these classes. And what the 18 credit hours does is, it can set up students to go into a bachelor's program if they choose to. And they can choose, they can choose whatever they want to study, but these credit hours would count towards their Native American Studies or a linguistics program with a minor in Navajo or literacy and sociocultural studies. So these credit hours should be able to help a student who wants to get that bachelor's degree or perhaps complete a master's degree.
Do we want to mention the certificates?
Okay, Tiffany, you want to do that?
Yeah. So we're also in trying to provide a lot of options for the cohort members if they already have a degree or not interested in getting another degree. We're creating, right now it's going through the UNM process, an undergraduate certificate in the DLTI program. So you would get a certificate from UNM saying you completed these courses and the experiences necessary to achieve the goals of the Diné Language Teacher Institute, sort of as a way to endorse, officially endorse your involvement. And we're working on a graduate level one as well to be proposed this fall. So that even when the funding runs out, so to speak, we can still keep offering this certificate for students.
So, yeah, Shade, Finito, Shumaya, no, yeah, for adding to the just the overview of this cohort. I just wanted to also reiterate that so several, actually quite a while ago, about 8 years ago, I was working with the NEC College and San Juan College and through the Navajo Nation Teacher Education Consortium. And one of the things that we started talking about with the different universities and tribal colleges is that some of the courses that are offered today in Navajo linguistics programs often don't meet the needs of the community, meaning that the focus should really get teachers who are out there to really think about using a variety of methodologies, particularly immersion, because we think that, and some of the research that Dr. Lee and others have done really support this effort that we need to go back to using immersion in the home, in the school, and the community. So it shouldn't just be in the school or the community, it should be at the net. And so that's really what we're trying to do here, is to get everyone to advocate together, whether you're a speaker, a learner, an elder, a young person, is to really understand that it's okay for us to speak Navajo just like we did to talk to each other at the neck. So it's not just that they're taking courses from us, we're also learning a great deal from our cohort members. As you saw earlier, they bring a wealth of knowledge. And so that's really what we're trying to emphasize, is that our own pedagogy, our own sense of community engagement, we want to bring that into our courses, into our practice, and to bring that into the university setting. So that's really what we're trying to emphasize in our program. And then just quickly, the benefits through this cohort, and with the wonderful support of the New Mexico Public Education Department, and hopefully continued support, we offer tuition and books. We pay for that. We also provided, because again of the pandemic, we had to offer some assistance with technology. We also offer stipends to our cohort members to organize parent or community events in their own home communities, where they, bring together families, work together, and using immersion, so that people feel that it's okay, it's normal, this is part of what we're supposed to be doing. So that's what we're trying to do with these events that we want our cohort members to do. And then also working with language experts, we're gonna, I think it's safe to say we're looking at offering a summer immersion camp this summer in Albuquerque. As there's the loosening of health restrictions, and that the fact that we're going to be able to meet outside in large groups, maybe not too large, but we're hoping to pull together a summer immersion camp where we can really put into practice some of the ideas of immersion, so that our cohort members can take that with them and go home and put that into action and practice. And then finally, there might be some of our members who might not have the native language culture certificate. So this is an opportunity for them to look into that. I think I'll stop there if there's not anything else that you guys want to add.
There was a question about if this fulfills teaching certification requirements, and I had just commented that not necessarily. It's not aligned with the teacher state teacher ed program, because we really are making it unique to Navajo language needs and Navajo communities needs in immersion methods and teaching. Some courses might apply, but that's why we're creating these certificates that are unique to DLTI and working with the Navajo Nation to get there. They already are in support, but also to endorse the program as well.
I think if there are any questions, you guys can put it in your chat. We can answer some questions. Last time we didn't build in any time for a question and answer session. So we have probably about 20 minutes before we can switch over to what's next on the program.
And while you're thinking of questions, I just want to recognize Council Delegate Nate Brown. I'm really happy you could join us. He's been a big supporter of this initiative since it was started with Vincent's language teachings on the Saturdays, came to one of the Saturday sessions. So I don't know if you're interested in introducing yourself and saying a welcome, if Manny can give him a spotlight. That would be wonderful.
Who should I? Excuse me.
Nathaniel Brown.
Okay.
And please put questions in the chat or as you come up with some.
Nathaniel Brown, that's a Jenna. Trobahan Shlon, look up Bash's chain, Kiani Dasha Che Hadot, Zatlana Dashanala. So thank you. Yat Ebene Kiha Aja Dr. Lee, Ada Miss Chi, Ada Chetna Ash, Kiha, Ada Arnold Hodais and Notsangi. Nike Yadi, the Nebazado in Deltish, Dida, not Dean Dean Beshmaster Ane Aja, Etrasata. Called the Nebenard Ketnitle, Aja Navajo Nation Council, a coho Quaki Shaho Agi, Ado Dida has Trampesh Mans Anats Anat in the League, the Nepazad subcommittee in Kid no Aja, in Kinanish Ila, the Janshi the Hot Abenat Nitkindande, Nihebe has Ani given Dalenish, a coho, a Kut Aja, Khalid Al Kadi Jahwing, so Dida Quaggy. Yahi J and Nate, Ado Dida, Halet Ada did no banate a coho, the Ado Peso no Tahigi ARPA funds, Lini, Aja Pesa, Shinila, Patch Edilne, Ado Anihinke Peso do, Ado Koai Sigeya, Behes Anigi, Ultraigi, Halet Alka Dicha, the Noya Aben Delnish a coho, Eshi Ado Shakadocha. Ein Kinch Kedo Lehti Ajan Kanan Shadal Enigi. I would like to ask for your help on how to where you need help as far as especially within the Navajo Nation education system and how Navajo Nation leadership can support your language initiatives in your respective schools or programs. I myself am not a language expert, but as an elected legislature, I'm here to help, to add to DOTI's policies and procedures, and even to create more and support language immersion nests or projects, programs. It's been days. So I thank you for your work. Jinkin on the shadat any here. A non nation does it and then the Ajabin das the Shako here in Chicago. Though I'm looking, you know how when you get on Zoom, you check out everything. Is my camera on? Am I muted? Then you go to participants. Khayla. You're really nosy, and it's really good to see all the people on there. So I know we've worked with some of you. Just sit so in Jonia, I really want to extend my appreciation to the work that you do. Again, Shay Samasan Shiahal Ao. Nahoshel no shich hanat Hada dankizad Diego Bahasho Jet ole alla enetiho Khayd Zoto Kizanet Lende Danit Siata Nashiaja Shewe Hada das Zabe Yanskit ole Hada das Zodazin Be Yanskit ole Chijanina Ayan Ben Nachishin question on the Inson Ayan Lata Bizarre Behanas Hinsentle so Ayona Nado Legon Jagalo Ani Kizag Anabiha Altehna Halan. So you're not Ichna, but Kenan Nishadas Initiation Chahoe, Shil Suhidinson. I have a lot of hope that we will go back and teach our children. Ani lay Hathali Kate Hadi Kaho Ladan Kachin Kate Hadakahdo. It's really good to see our young Navajo boys and girls following our Hatalis, and that they're spending and they're choosing to spend their time in that way. And that is true immersion right there also. And I'm exploring in that area, in that arena, on how, and I've always enjoyed that. That's, I think, a place for me to go back to where I find myself. I am gaining knowledge. So, hey, dear, thank you, Tiffany, for giving me that time. Thank you. I'm here to listen and absorb and learn and take this back to our Denevasat subcommittee. And I'll be reaching out to all of you to see how we can make this work. Yeah.
I think it might be important to give a little bit of context again to what Tiffany brought up earlier. You know, there's different initiatives, I think, going on across Navajo, across you know, different schools, communities, but here in Albuquerque too. You know, we have the Saad Kidilye, and then we have this cohort. And I think what is important about that is, you know, at some point here in Albuquerque, I've worked with Jenny DeGroat almost 20 years ago, and she did summer immersion camps. And then there was some growth of Navajo language programs here in Albuquerque in the school district, but it only went so far, and then it kind of the quiz, I think there was like 2 at one time. And so one of the things that we really wanted to do is in Albuquerque was to again advocate. We decided to you know, convene some family meetings. We started coming together and saying, you know, here's might be an idea of how to get more people interested in advocating for the language. And so that started to grow. And then I don't know if Roberta Zeiss is on, but she really took a step forward for us to start organizing a Diné language group here in Albuquerque. And this went on for about 2 years. Every other month, we started organizing families. And so we know there's huge interest in it, in doing these kind of events. And so we wanted to work on it from the university side, because one of the things we found is we need to do more on the university on our side to create those university community partnerships where we can really support our communities, with ideas, with research, with, finding funding sources. So I think it's really a collective effort that we really all need to acknowledge, and because that's what's going to take in the communities, in your communities, to really reverse language shift, because a lot of it has to do with ideologies. And I like, that's why I appreciate Councilman Brown. Thank you for saying those words, because I think it really is about affirming our language. So I just wanted to share that real quick, and there's other initiatives happening, and so I hope we can support them. So.
Okay, Vincent, Honorable Nate Brown. We have a couple of questions in the chat box. One question, will TESOL endorsement fulfill some of the DLTI requirement? Can you answer that, Vincent?
Right now in our department, language literacy and social cultural studies, we have a bilingual and TESOL certificate, but those courses are specific to other types of approaches to language. There may be a potential for one of the courses that might align with what we're trying to do, but with our courses, we're really trying to go back to centering the politics and pedagogy. And what I mean by that is, we need to really think about our as a standalone system. As the late Larry Emerson used to say, that's what we're really trying to emphasize, even working with community. That's really what we're trying to bring back into the conversation. So as I said, there may be something that overlaps, but for the most part, I don't think so. So I just wanted to share that. Kayla, someone want to address the other question about the?
Yeah, did you answer the question? I'll read the next one. So the next question, we have, would students need to obtain a BA in Navajo language in order to apply for the certificate programs? So no, you don't need to obtain a BA in Navajo language. UNM does not, in fact, offer a BA in Navajo language. So to obtain the certificate program, in order to obtain that, there's those 18 credit hours of classes that were specifically selected for the Diné Language Teacher Institute. Those classes would fulfill those requirements in order to obtain the certificate. And let me see if there are any other questions. Deutschland Nabakata. Let's see. Okay, so while we finish up here, Vincent or Tiffany, do you guys have any last information to share before we move on to the next event?
There's another question. All classes are online, right? They are for, it just came up. They were for this last year because of the pandemic. And the hope is UNM plans to be in person starting this fall. And our hope is the summer, and you know, what Vince described earlier, that would be in person, because you know, we want the immersion experience in person, and we're trying to plan for that this June. We will, you know, just, you know, try to work with whoever's in the program, though. If you're at a far distance away and need to Zoom in for a class, you know, we want to work with you. We're trying to be flexible and sort of, you know, not be so regimented in how the program is delivered. But for now, you know, they were last year, and next year, you know, we'll continue to offer different options, I think, but we want to move to more in person. Would you guys agree? I'm also going to put in the chat the if some of you are interested in learning more about your individual circumstance, like if you have a degree or don't have a degree and how that might work. We actually do have an advisor who's helping us to align students' courses with their plans. So I'm going to put in the chat her name, email, and phone number if any of you are interested and want to reach out to her.
Okay, I think I see another question. Here, let's see. Is DLTI the only certificate program? Yes. Well, UNM offers all sorts of different certificates for different programs, but they all, you have to take other classes, whatever those certificates require, you take those classes. For DLTI, that one has its own, will have its own specific certificate. No certificate in linguistics or Navajo language specifically, no. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think the Department of Linguistics offers a certificate, but you can get a bachelor's degree or a master's or a PhD in linguistics. And, or you can minor in Navajo language. So if you're an undergraduate, you can minor in Navajo language, but if you're a graduate student, if you joined a linguistics program, then you can focus specifically on Navajo. So also today in the audience, we have Gloria Hale, who has joined us. So I will give her a few minutes to introduce herself. And Manny, can you spotlight her, please?
Good morning. Thank you. Dr. Chi. She Gloria Hale Dashajina. Senjikin Sena Bifni Nishla Twitter Cheatney Bushchin. Senjikina Dashache Kia Ani Dashanala. Could add Nas Sana Nishla. Kitchen Tiet Dan at Oak Springs, Arizona. I Yasi Nasha Ada Shiaho. Currently, I just joined New Mexico Public Education Department, and you heard Ms. Lashana so earlier. She is one of our primary leadership within the Indian Education Division. I have joined them since the end of December, so I work closely with the Navajo language grantees, which includes University of New Mexico, and then 3 other components within the state of New Mexico, also working with the indigenous education programs amongst some of our other school districts in New Mexico. But I'm really pleased to have joined you here. I am available for any questions or any guidance. I know that Ms. So had another commitment, but I will do the best I can. Kodashi, Yahat.
Oh, yeah, Gloria, thank you for introducing yourself to our audience. Gloria, she's one of our advisors for this grant. So I think we'll be seeing her at the end of the week again. Okay, Vincent?
I wanted to just kind of address some of the questions that came up, but also just larger issues. And that may be something we could also return back to at the end. And then moving forward, these are, I think, important questions, issues to address, which has to do with, you know, this grant that we got initially, we focused on one community because that was what was, you know, written in the RFA. And we got the agreement with the community school, and then we knew that there was a group of teachers we would work with. John the pandemic, any even not cheko yun hits on is like it's even not che to ilia hishin ziniki. Jo katzande ashin hune kutza jo John his edot aslagit ebayat hita ta hois ago ne keda enago jo kumbe bayat hito kun hijenda hasti. Jo hat ashin ben nada kutzat o ilneko kon le ko jo the nebekea aja ha zoki khale khol yele ala change shi Arizona was to ha zo to aro ko je shi to ha zo bi je ke da ene ke jo ko je to ti yo to ha zo je bi je tan de jo te ende ke ya hin ke na zo gi den ne ni tlene gen hit not ilen hin nas de no. So so we wanted to recognize our sovereignty as Navajo Nation, that our borders don't prevent us from working with each other. The courses online. Ideally, we wanted to have some embedded courses to the community. Like, for example, we were planning a summer immersion where we'd actually offer a course in the summer, and didn't work out that way. But there might be a time when that might happen. So we might do something, for example, in Window Rock, and we can convene some of you there, or in Farmington, where we would offer something like that. So, but the point that I'm getting to is that I think UNM should not be the only university to do this. I'm thinking far term in terms of we need to, as the universities serving Navajo, which is part of the Navajo Nation Teacher Education Consortium, is to develop these courses across the different universities so that people from different places can take advantage of these courses. But we need to have that coordination happen. I know Shanada Henry Fowler is the chair of the consortium right now, and we've talked about these ideas too. So we're pushing on our end from UNM, and I think if other universities push, I think we can really work together to address some of these things that are coming up. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, I think it is time now. We shared a lot of information. We're getting a lot of good questions, and if you have any questions, we should probably share our email address so people can, potential students can email us and ask us questions, and we will need to move on to the next event, which is Shema storytelling. And so let me share my email too while you guys
Vince, do you want to introduce, or I can introduce? Okay. Okay, we're so fortunate to have the Shema Storytelling group here with us today for their really grassroots efforts at Diné language revitalization and maintenance and sustainability. I'm just going to read the short description of who they are, and then Manny will spotlight them, and they can obviously introduce themselves and share with us their work. So Shema Storytelling is a grassroots reading program for youth of all ages, featuring storytelling, singing, and activities in Diné Bazad. Shema Storytelling has been in existence since April 2019. They are a team of mothers from various educational backgrounds who are actively involved in strengthening through the revitalization of the Diné language, beginning first at home with their own children. As stay-at-home mothers, they have taken their methods and strategies of homeschooling the Diné language and literacy teaching with their children to the community level. The Shema Storytelling curriculum celebrates and strengthens Nanitin, Sin, and Hanet that are reliant on language in order for these important cultural elements to be passed on from generation to generation. And our guests include Pauletta Chief Lee, Ragnilla Cody, and Stephanie Little Hat. So please welcome them and thank you for joining us. So if Manny, if you could give them the spotlight, that'd be great.
How do I unspotlight myself?
Am I able to pull up the PowerPoint? Will I be able to do that?
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay, all right. 1 second. There it is. Okay, so çalışıyor. Okay. All right. Ja, het is do shidine trasilo. She red nola Cody and she as chitin shlin akile bash shina kirene da shina akile da shinale. Akut is san shle adot sisi holiere e sidet nasha. Go ba hen sin ko and Arnold Swan hilon shloni ko ha di shama storytelling ben hil ben hil Hagbiln and hit me hit Ninigi combat hit and needs and Shadot Stephanie dot Paletta. Dig Shima storytelling na Kinache has ni the kuts on Hachina Yelki at neck etchkop Yelkido sim which the wheat do not so swoltra egi kuts arbitret the need oko Navajo Nation Museum do Navajo Nation Library so the ilse don hitrahilnia da ade akut adin hinan nishite the deilnen there kok ade di beshin sekesi anil so konkut an hinan nish deilne ko kon shima storytelling akut dj ilto hinan nish deilne ko ilse she Stephanie do Paletta nihije da hat do sin ado the shima storytelling deilne nacha idikli.
Yat Shea Stephanie Little Hat and she Kia Ani Nishlingo Topajan Ajabashichin Ashi Dashe Chedot Twitch in Dashanale East Soholiade Ade Ayasenasha Ado Ade the neck at Atio Shiao Ako Ade ansend the neck at Yeshtindeko. Ado Sati Ea and then he saw at Athako. Dit oya da Jenny that should Jenny ko Shreya dit opahos the Schnitako. Chanela Hastinia Ea Chirikawa Apache Leko ashi sate in kisa it's ade aslat echo aro di sharedo Chanel Palette na kinachai bisndes bisnashnisho na ka shashike aro biswin shnani kum na nijoji bis dashagan ade Nika alchinen the neck achia hadas athlete on a co are benani tien nan ahandeindi an hideya eat ego binina dabenaledo dabeche an anza dabagano do bahne do aslach bande kaho a co an hideya eat on aro anihe the neck achia Sati on Belagana catchy Sunday Aro Anas Saro Abelagana Yeski Lesinde Alsena Rangi share away 8 out of Dabit on Aro Anihe a mother Jenny law Nihe away the neck at Yohados asked it. Did oh Anihe
dinig echi kio equat o e yohodol athlete o tra kushashi kedinig echi dashi ako ayo ba Henson did shama storytelling a day inigi hinan nishat ayona nishat la did o volunteer at Andy ako on alhini kaho ba yadil kitla ko yoshas and junior ako dit already link alchinya rabata yasa aya hodos as I dinig etriyeski yahodos as the date inigi ko a ha ikidishnis ari in kitchen had a zihido and kitchen they need cut on kitchens and be dahidi trafficking a ha ikidishnis.
Yes, she Pauletta chiefly that should be ado she put it eaten for Hannah Bashin. It's a funny that she ado ya even a catchy national ado she the city then I wash my shot more than ado asa the next Diego Luce yaski and that what Danhisa escape this. So Kadeya Sarah Hosana de Shashinado the Sivishnani this advocate Keda. Also the Shema storytelling not the nache for Shinabadin and it all Heda the Nebazab Hodish Lisboniki Badate Ado Radmella Radmella do Stephanie Asha Shideja Carletta Chief Julia Ebenacha Beva Sessi Asha Ako Henson the Smash Shiki Ado the Nahashna the next Ajita Hados Austin the yeah, that's it. So, Benison, Governing, the Shima storytelling, the Nebazaboho, Ahidi, the Dahi, the Dahi, Ado, Ebelina, a day, Ebelina, Benison, Godadia, a call, the UN when we had to start up in the DLTI, although Dr. Mel Vassett, she about and then the next authority after a semester national na authority by Henderson, although Dr. Barreto take Hadigi stop ani the next ahiki ahawanda stop the yate so means that I see none such as that they not so such a or the Lagana at the other get a although none naive a call even not the Shema storytelling me even not the Hachina then not so for the net the Nebazai yet the horse I even yeah of course the have gone to the Dohani Henson Ekehe akode.
All right. Let's see. District at Sin A Yat E Sin Liego Nata Huditkal Ado Stephanie E Ya Hala Beyalt Igi E Yay Nikhil Dolna.
Hela beyelt darit in a sign language da bedite. Sha alchimiji which adacha thala such a willa be hindaji ale. Quits easter being daji ale. Dia bits adate quil nahaji now she alchimiji adonaye that of alkate o a jinni go. Kodit o e yat e jinni. It o yat e. Aro shik edit o. Namazojiki yat shik aro shama da huyats in the area it's female they kero a son of the aba kujo a male a call di kujo a ashkida hastin the neta bako dit o a shama jini aro dit o a shaja jini aro shamasane eya akwagi nana huyats in the arodit o na kidi dashteni shamasane shado akote she hotade huletsa be besteli aro tanjteli dit o she aro shinala et a atlande in a atla do share eya dit o wala ajili ado atlago eya huyats in the bestel let's give I don't where let's sing the let's sing alhiji indeed of share I don't shinna alta konana what hard shinna I don't shik a nana did of shik a call dishi be anaye yata of after it benia sarigi
Yate shik Yate shema Yate shishe Yate shemasane Yate shiche Yate shinale Yate shate Yate shinae Yate shike The I thought Dr. Lee Kodi media palada should sui palada do should Stephanie and then it gets out a dik at Nake has link Kondi kuts on himanish the Kalchinaba at the ne do she ate or isago hit tilon hit hasi she must sana a isi nationalist or shinesa a toasted sounds tebi katnache has link on hits at the handiako a kopen flate jehasiho Chipanahachi. Hello, walla the no yanke that neck at chico yanke no ha she chipanahachi. Ako shit ya Hiran has agit a shit at neck at yashke do she away at yalti do deeds ako oyo besienna selni ako do yo yashki ikipinina ako shimasana ha shi hala wala no yalti no ha shi the ha shi benashni ho ako ebinina paleta do Stephanie di shima storytelling bil ishla ako ado do ayo shilbahos and that the odi not so swoltra igi the neck echigo do yo instrata then kad she away bohodesh afnason ko she away which instrata do lesson ako di kad kot ego not so swoltra igi ado nandla igi instra which instra o ado bilagonic echikito nash ego because if I look at the bilagonic the English words then I'll translate it. It'll be easier for me to translate. I took on that challenge ako kad naso oyo naso swulta igi sad nandla igi kad boho sel ado kon kad instra she away Sen shilbausen instrao akon di ako ita di nalsos wolta igido yo shilbausen dan kade at shilbausen akon de sate sadigi do shilbausen igi paleta do Stephanie yo ye shikatan da wola ako di Di de alspoje de nehigi ilto kepen na chito nash do nash agido ndaglo sto chian kut di shema storytelling band hilta hudile.
At di beige color game yonya. Ado she's green see a she di ta hot asmiya nashagi ado one was ishla Yaji or Shakana Lordshire way deep on the Shayka or Jita head or dash traggy. Yon still a hate or nash Halisha the guy. It got is it got is dishan. Let's dirigation. Saturday got is dirigation. Let's dishan. The best dishan. Lejen. Arok the inaskens the payajendish ha dila tepe hawana mazi na garo lehaya ako ani hit ilta geltara hazindale not nilch ichawe not nilch Kadish abi gane Kadish the beyaje hajishinya hawana maze haje the beyaje elwe mama kaidigila lejengish binaga dokunena oh a magnet Kadish the beja hajishinya hawana maze herigila dot ishki spinana kunashnaga do kunanaga la hajishiya nja the beja hajishinya hawana maze herigila let's sogi spinana do kunanaga hajish iya the beja hajish inya hawana maze herigila tlichi gish binana do kunanaga hajish iya the beja hajish inya hawana maze herigila serete kodot ishgish binana do kunanaga la herigila zikoka Estaat erin la 80 in la yagodot ishgi Lejento in la let's so in la Grish the beja hajishinya hawana maze wait honest the belchi gish binana kunena gala yay magic oh oh attende oh not these cheese got nana shago she be not it a shago nana oh got on it the beja hajishinya hawana maze head on a shagi the cheeky spinana do kunana gara hajish iya wagging little
But they are jumbo.
oh but invisible ish the beja hajishinya hawana maze herigila
Mama?
head on a shagi
Then tiny on
oh volcano na halen oh Khalid on a shagi Lejengi spinana do kunena gara la hajishiya the beja hajishiya hawana maze head on a stragida yagodot ishgishinaga do kunena gara haje the beja hajishinya hawana maze the cheeky spinana do kunena gara haje the beja hajishinya hawana maze dile kait onash adeshnine serete godot ishgish binana do kunena gara edigish bi the beja hajishinya hawana maze stashi let's sogish binana yay ahya shawe ahya
Yeah, Gavin.
shawe ya trap nach gaide aro die so be hadin oh be vane oh aro shawe shit in the shnila aro that also be najin tina to numbers igi bakadish la shabka nakhe tra is it on your aro din aro shla aro sahat also ya so ya akut ego nana David Sunday sa amma dit amma the be hajishinya that it on amma sanera aro anna aro apare away aja aro che it also as ant obe be poho hawana mazabi just to reinforce the language. Ako DA not so say Pete the cat yolia she Kate the guy a yosh is majunia. Aro DA she chinnabich it next hate that's the city. Ayo yeah Bistanjunia stende Bistanjunia and sati abich inishka. Aro these do baharis publishers din dan they shinigi not so they shinigi DA Scholastic Aro Shagi a San Juan School District a la anda asni o dan kiri niro ko di kwagi e not so out they need to ako big in the nilo a on a lunch in the la anka asni Aro DA yashi hanei lagi a air lit win yolia Aro Mr. Eric go shito be bahodilzen Aro nej na as changi a ya Jane Steen yolia kat nas Pete the cat Pete mosse teen bahogoi got Adi eya bikate I need a gogi ega shegai go bikate Pete bikate shegagi ayo bisnejona go has sin ye hatral nas Shekate shegagi ayo shisnejoni ye Shekate shegagi ayo shisnejoni ye Shekate shegagi ayo shisnejoni ye nas Da Pete ya oh you that was he told her Kade la head of Kate nash la nas Lichi Pete dish hatcha Aro da nasi kada she besin ye etral Everything is cool Nego nas Shekate lichigi ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate lichigi ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate lichigi ayo shesnejoni ye nas Da Pete ya yakodot is gisa kangi he dol tal Alahet obikate nash ala nas Yagodot is Pete is hatcha Aro da Anasi gata she besin ye hatral Asim nas Shekate yagodot ishgi ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate yagodot ishgi ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate yagodot ishgi ayo shesnejoni ye nas Da Pete ya hasht ish ye what Khaled oh ebike nash nas The best chi Pete ish hatcha Aro da nasi galo besin ye hatral Groovy nas Shekate the belchi go ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate the belchi go ayo shesnejoni ye Shekate the belchi go ayo shesnejoni ye nas Da Pete ya toyi he what Ako at the belchi at yagodot ish at lechi Let's go bahana Khaled oh ebike nash leya nas Shegai Kundi Kade Kate the clay Pete the shacha. Arota Anasi Gasa Besenye Hetra Rock and roll Nila Nas. She Kate the clay go a yo shifnajoni ye. She Kate the clay go a yo shifnajoni ye. She Kate the clay go a yo shifnajoni ye. Ish Ni bahashika got nas. Di hannet bahannet Pete bahannet. Taro lashi doyat etande. Anasi gathon sin behetral. Nas. Bini nage eya a skoyat eto lech e binina. Ako ashin net hashtraslo do binish arandi o be benchtrasle. O share wait bitch it hashtrasle ko yo a yo ye yetani klinche. O she ye a yo vestan junia go ko yedani klinche o be bitch hashtraslo. Ako ihe nas.
Yeah, she did just Stephanie Jania. I call me Di at Asen a shili halosin holia. God the Asen a naha dash. Shli hallo, ni Johnny, yes, shli hallo, ni Johnny, yes, shli hallo. Shli hallo, na ke ele cha hallo, ta e mos hallo, di e lo hallo. Johnny, yes, shli hallo. Hold on. Ashla bekashi hallo, hasra na akhori hallo, tos et gali hallo, sebi bespode hallo, shli hallo, ne Johnny yes, shli hallo, shli. I'm trying to do a multitasking, so I keep muting myself, sorry. Nahas is a hallo, neles na de behollo. Ta akkoord ego, shali hallo, shali hallo, shali hallo, shali hallo, ni Johnny, yes, shali hallo, ni Johnny, yes, shali hallo. All right. The ecclesia da go bahanem. The Reuben McCabe hanna yilado Clayton Long the neck etche ado Don Mosey Jr. a traholna ado Molly Trainer nash Di hanne alchine oltra do biniye ba alia. Di ecclesiaje nezna yilt ego ba hanne. Abinago astan dilwo ize Tlize Sai Chinanil Tla'a Tlize Yaje Ayo Nalgid Nake Tlize Yaje Ahikra Tra Tlize Yaje Beran Yekra Dane Din Tlize Yaje Deil Shoj Ashla Tlize Yaje Tro Deitla Hastra Tlize Yaje Leid Shae Yen Das Zid Zostid Tlize Yaje Da'alwash Tebi Tlize Yaje Bimma Dail Sago Dacha Nahast Tlize Yaje Bimma Yanije Nezna Tlize Yaje Bimma Yel Shije Akut Dingo Akut Ego Tlize Yaje Bahane Ako Benashni Shemasanet Tlize Yaje Nahan Law na Ako na Golchno Ako Abe Sin la Shai la Tlize da wa da chon hashi no God because da hashi shit get khafne Tlize da wa da chon Tlize da wa da chon Tlize da Tlize no hashi shit get khafne Aro eltro da khafo na shmasane na bitishnihle Ako ishi ishi Tlize na halona kon Lego na nashkolo edo da shed the la hoshin na could ask and shaji la.
Kadea Susan Jian Yosakan Yehegi Beta Duka. Di Jian Asanda Tahegi Beta Duka. Asakona Ea Telesana Biste Adona Chikona Ea Geso Pakona Ea Chil Akahe Ado Dinkona Ea Atwo Ado Shlakona Ea Nanes Kade Ado Haskagona Ea Twot Kodi E At Chian Hatis Paya At Ehi Dat Ako China Beniti put out Nankin Go Penti Yeta House Ako Ako Gnostic Sin Donan Kata Ahudin Bojik Ako hut up as a class. Chian Yosekan, Chian Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Teulane Yosekan, Teulane Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Chian Yosekan, Chian Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Queso Yosekan, Queso Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Chian Yosekan, Chian Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Chen akaha Yosekan, Chen akaha Yosekan, Yoshisekan. Chian Yosekan, Chian Yosekan, Yoshisekan. A ko e yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. A ko e yosakan na yoshisakan. Chian yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. Chian yosakan na yoshisakan. Nanas kare yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. Nanas kare yosakan na yoshisakan. Chian yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. Chian yosakan na yoshisakan. What a yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. What a yosakan na yoshisakan. Chian yosakan, yosakan, yosakan. Chian yosakan na yoshisakan. Johnny,
Oh, na Johnny. Yeah.
today, the not so what is what is Maggie W. Benali, Hanet, the next Ila. Cognostic, till it Ayaji Bantasa. Ayaji Equal. The more go, Nijona go Haia. Ko e Sana Adoha Waggy. What is it? Ayaji eat that hot nut. I don't know what it's called. That's go not. Take hot and not. What is it? Stitching isn't. Pasila Ikitoga. The more is Canada Lasana, the Eslia. Coin the Lasana should treat the Lasana net Iki a Yorsakan. The Lasana Yinika Naraj. Naraj, the Lasana Yi Hana na. Ati the Nizen Haisha Ikinato na. The more do na chijun gune the Lasana the se na Kigoli Yinika Naraj. Ado the asa asna kid the Lasana se cut the photo go possible. Necessity the chinism. The more do packaging connect in not only car your del con it asa not car is not only yakoto this. Necessity the chinism. The more do the connect the death for the your dead asa nache ka the death of the story. Necessity the chinism. Haisha shot Nashod the that English connect is the story. A slap your dead. Asha Nachi ha di isla yodel. Mitte ati the chinism. Oh, you ian the ati the chinism. The more yaje a not so the art at Ian Sachian Bal Kandi or use on that L Gia Obenina not he go the sample being yeah the shot it's constant it's not gonna me this connect the top you choice yat nastly or yat the at end sheet exposure the next a UND no sé così benina a io the chin and then Pagan ila ato yihina Pagan gonna the dog on she the more agree with it Pagan Yenakas Nagaj at a Kalogi the legal heart up to call the top for long as the top had read so on the genre gonna go hard up. Could not for Boka which is up.
Dig at Hawangi hate ordine bizarre paint that not in go bigatole la ko alchine di alto nalsos go nalsos which eden altra go nalsos ni hela hallo Asian alchine which nal yehat eri ye hol a goshin which echo ye in seconds ye yalti ye deeds bits ade alchine which nal yeha Asian echo dila Hawangi yadalti do khaleit o bahodish alta no sonla o you the hallo has link din ben sequence your lenigi YouTube so de esa aniron da nani ande o you the hallo la de nek etchiyati yen dan tinigi ko she etsedit o she yaj kreat say biven nacha age and hunch and ayo ashtom and be not in a call at the YouTube do yo the halor on the a call on flashcards they all yengi as she de shla a call sa in the honey sa nesesni do yeni lida a call on shin go ye has it or in so a call it the cars 80 yo baby in journey go call are they Skola han tra ye hadal ahli na da so gido dash gido that drolt gido at echo abits adika belaganik it's a kai in the ordinary be bitch yashtio aro ashindi do yo behassen that na adzogi do the neck etche inch do behassen alkina ein bench trande at eight and da krea o aro ishlara ako Khalid also adol yisa danit so dit o ashinde as adat o dide shire Schlago nicht ran schlat nicht a kodit over trandashne anilsko nicht tra danil inse diat schla a ko al adat a ko ne nan agi chkirin yo ye bonan skata biri bershno ha shirit odin insa shinda yo ale aro dit ora ha shi ye bonan ska aro Beshel Khaled the neck at Khaled Ehnkire Arochkiri the Nenegodish with the snow a co al art over had it zehe Shishikire Tapa Tapala Shikire Aro dia Shishikire Bikhe Hollo Aro dia Shishikire eya betsasson le gene Chkire betsasson le gene Aro die Shishikire naketa as dala quagi which baka as die enakhe Aro di enana shikire eya yagodot is Aro ayo yast andan kaha Aro abansin kias Ashtashi Khalid also sit do that's it sick as that's it or it's it the tra on there that's it dosit as that's it I don't know beige that's it the plastic it that's it don't does that Eran does about that or beige bedalia it oko aside be yada ego or dit egonde benda at zogi at o at ebe yada it o shi be hizargi on be nasit a ko it over yada tio halet or jenny thought that jenny said a codit or jenny da brit on se a ko ni thought den da brit ni thought halet or in his rins la darohna a ko 8 or she been that not in a big o be boho agnia a ko e satin de da idora aro giant in shkaho dit over tranast anils kon de sit ho bakad da dani biga ho aro ni maron je aro a masane cheira naleda a bijida maya jira Jaya jira hiaja elsko bindana bit nde dolke e shinkil da halera shilla de yobe o snelle allari ba bas asia do yo itan do yo the neck achistio belagana area abe nashi shava ko in einstein da dos esa the neck achibel which yashti obini nado do yo the neck achishti dande ara corn area and this area she sits in the corn halet all laden sa o shama bit beshba hu shneidan or bit yashtio halet o corn jinni hinsa halet o corn jinni labedesh na ta la ya la halet o arondi benashni da additional abinashni hona und bishbe wishnet additional a ko it oh nashi nant a hagi shi nkik era be bende dolke.
You're muted.
I accidentally hit the. It's fine. Just go ahead.
O aro nal sosta cool nal sos bahagan ari shinla na halok reya at that del khal la ya bish behla jelan shin at o nal sos nda halla ne biga aro on the neck eche do the neck eche be cash cheat and the she bela o the neck eche be bitch e yalt hitni aro dilto e flashcards at inigilto e an hídalle ní bíha. Aro dhé ó dachte a dunig a si iadallt chi a sin an hande ko la bebid ag adil chindi aro la e a daníle ó se loch daníle inna lo dunig a si just chi da ná ko an dhé ó bidan zil a sin an hande dhé op dunig a si iadallt a ko di oho yugo oho agod ko yego dat the neck etche yadalti go ndanot go. Okay.
Pauletta.
Fasta ea hwa de amadoja do hojon the neck etche bestehausen da yaskegi ako di na so wakagi hata chena de ya just tako akot ita dos the neck etche ado starting late next had be the start KTNN do Indian radio station podcast that aja you go you just go put out so hachina the next edge ho ado definitely has the start YouTube connect the never work now for connect it hold ado send the next edge every IG thought yet start the gadget ako dojan the next edge just go late fish then take the connect not connect she Google that or she so flashcard so Johnny Jonathan le Silly Billy will get flashcard a Johnny choice ego question this is just let's start your horse call ego
Di Pauletta a silly Billy yegi it's a where the neck etchigo be be to she ishla a ko yo yikitiki a silly Billy flashcards yegi a najoni ato le epic in dash sa beshite let's see ila to big gashi kutat egi go begin dash ado beka begin dash kuta she sidago e yago she kuta bil hashnetle ado yohol e yisi it's that yohol ado di sin ilto bil hashtral ya yo sin bilin jonne bil bit hashtral ero da bit ilto she sin ileho e kut bil naish in ilto ako di kudat ehigi Sharon Birch ya Sharon Birch machine done hispada hausen jonnego hatra Sharon Birch do Dr. Pauline Mbike ito she on nihishima storytelling athades that nahahotra don hijahadzi aro talaba shiteji talaba do talaba bige kut ego da ado shigi ito precious friends what ego simbakat net nille chinia je beginning da iliado ko eshi da east o ya ero da not so what egi the audios ya sto nihil chane krego da east o sto eshi the reinforcement of hearing the Navajo language is what we kind of have to improvise in terms of having the kids always hear the language itself. So I think one of the things that I find challenging is, and I had shared this with Dr. Lee and Dr. Ruedo, is that we don't have anything in terms of like, like a show, yeah. Chinia jadi beshin sekesi in that I hashi shot benathan dal kiddo ya aid at the neck etchiko aid or a yon here the haloda oko sa asa not so swat hako begin on YouTube hashi she was reading books in showing showing it like on the video. So I was really excited to see that. So there's all these different resources that are that are available, but are also in terms of the internet, YouTube, there's that's slowly but surely, I think, making its way into its existence in terms of like a show. Hopefully we'll have a Navajo show like Molly and Denali, right? Is it Molly and Denali, the indigenous show? So we need a Dinesh show like that. So that's the one challenge that I come across, I think, for myself. Foster grandparents programs, boarding school, the de she masanedo ache she olta elskogo nihipa she the dorm de she aden hipa sekego we would work with them ya hihashi nihilta halnet do ado le bisindel in the God's Eyes Arts and Crafts kodat ehiki edo da like sikelle shot sikelle ho one the maza biljil in ho kot she kodat ehiki bisindel in benashni oko it's we need those kind of programs. Yeah, I think it's important to implement those back in within our school systems again. Because when you hear a masanado hache do da nala stan nala stin hache yaltio, the neck hache yaltio. It's just, you know, njone. It's very loving and you know and it's encouraging and so I think it would be nice to have those the foster grandparents programs because they are our history books, yeah. And so investing in them, I guess, investing in our elders. Ado San Juan School District, though, first things first, the Build Your Monster Slayer library, we started that. And the Build Your Monster Slayer library. The San Juan School District, the Selena Bookshelf, not so small you in which that you la cash machine da the Nihik and Linigi she first things first Marlo McCabe Billy Kitchen Date initial the that you la Chiniajado Chiniajado la so we're at the quits DJ the not so sport ado Shema storytelling May 26th gonna nana a Davne ako ado bikedon a reading revolution with our modern day monster slayers will hiki isto a Davne a nana desit gonna June 16th. If you can join us then, that would be great. And Sago ko Nijonago Din Hisad be Yadafti on Jonago Nahalchin Baadal Enigi do Nijonago ko Kutal Nasko Nihizad be Anit Edo Ben Hitzi Ani. She Latin and the be adjustio nido naso yat eto and jonago nana sad be adjustio so it's again it's I think just taking on those challenges and what I really appreciate about Stephanie and Pauletta and working as a team is that we all work together. Initial Pauletta yo sad ben alchigi the yo and she really knows how to do the translations. Stephanie she does a lot of the research in terms of implementing the like the games, the games and also even the translations of the books. And of course, I guess for me, I'm just the singer. So we all, come together and we work together in that way and help one another. And so I think that's what I really appreciate about Shideje and Doshitsui. And so I think we didn't really expect the Shema storytelling to last as long as it did, but we're very grateful for the support that we have received. And it's tough, it's difficult. I mean, we're multitasking. Sometimes people don't see what's going on. Sometimes behind the scenes, we'll be sitting here smiling, and our my little one, will be throwing food across the room or jumping on the couch, and so there's all this stuff, all this parenting going on too as we're doing the Shema storytelling, and so but that's what it is, and that's what that's what we love doing. That's why we're moms, and we appreciate how our little ones are helping us to grow in this way. So again for having us today, and we will end with the Hagonet song.
Skate oi Hagonet dini Hagone alla bayalti aro shik Shema Shija Shema Sane Shiche Shinale Shade Shadeja or Shin Shade aro sinna aro shik aro nana shidole ko it or shin be nada hudit khatira sin.
Agone, shik Agone, shema. Agone, shishe. Agone, shemasone. Agone, shiche. Agone, shinale. Agone, shade. Agone, shinae. Agone, shike. Agone, nana shidole.
Yeah.
Koshit akwede nana hehe kon the shema storytelling hilda iliagi ado adaholya shikedo shidine.
Acheha nichilin dahosolne shema storytelling. I see ye go ba acheta needs go at do she's on hits de sa inna dahol do alchine da ostra egi ostra alto la an rei go at ela e she's dot belishkilin dahosolne go at a ko acheha do ya at e nzona go